Welcome to the realm of Millenia. I am your host, the Millenia Mailman, here today. Alright. And I welcome you, all ye entities of any of the coils, be ye man, woman, child, spirit, creature, demon, be ye native, migrator, or invader. Welcome to the realm of Millenia, folks. I am your host, the Millennium Mailman, here today, and I'll be world building for you long after you've begun to acclimate into and fit into the realm of Millennia here today on this fine Tourism Tuesday. So sit back, relax, and let's dive in to this Tourism Tuesday, where again today I am going to be talking about how time is calculated in the realm of millennia. I'm not fully sure if I talked about it before. I'm not sure if I'll talk about it again. I absolutely will talk about it again for sure, because to flush out time is really, 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 really important. And the reason I adjusted the way time is in millennia, because I seeing how it's a world and realm all of its own. If one aspect of it is time here and on Earth is calculated because we're moving around the sun and we aren't the center of the universe. So how we calculate time and relative time makes sense to us like this. But hear me out. What if the world, the planet that any and everyone's living on really was the center of the universe? And listen to me, hear me out. If everything, the sun, the stars, and everything revolved around you, how would you calculate it? If your world was constantly growing and getting bigger, every island, every ocean was being bigger as time expanded on. If everything on the world that you lived on, in the center of the universe, everything is drawing closer to you and building the planet, the realm, into being bigger and better than it was yesterday, making your planet, making your world revolve relatively slower and slower as time literally extends. Every day is longer than the last. Every year longer than the last. Every decade longer than the last. Every century longer than the last, because the planet, being calculated by its rotations, is going relatively slower as things around you are taking more time to move around you, right? If you and your planet was genuinely the center of the universe and everything revolved around you, how would you calculate time? Would we still use the planets and the suns, the speed it takes for the sun to move around us? And if so, how would you calculate that? As your world is building and growing quite literally day by day. So I thought about it, and the ultimately thing I thought would be best for that would be the reduction gearbox, right? Where I'm not sure exactly how much of a common knowledge it is and lesser education now, but the reduction gearbox is, the concept behind it is a reduction gearbox with every gear side by side. The first gear turns, it takes 10 turns, full turns, to move the gear behind it. And if you have this gearbox go down, say 100 gears, with the first gear turning at a rate of 10 turns a second, it will take 1 light year for not 1 light year, it will take 1 billion years for the 100th gear in this box to make one full rotation. If the first one is moving 10 rotations a second, it will take the 100th gear 1 billion years to make one rotation, right? Where at the beginning of time, the end of time, the first gear here represents 1 second. The second gear represents a minute. The next gear represents an hour. The next a day, a week, a month, a year. Right? The first, second, minute, hour, day, week, month, year. The first 7 years in the beginning of time represent those 7 things. But a few years down the line, we're growing, so every now and again we have to shift over one, shift over one, shift over one. Now we are here in the year 50 of the universe's existence, and we shifted over a couple times. Now, a second is effectively 6 gears down. The second takes much longer to go by because we have to calculate. Now, a nanosecond takes, effectively, for us living in this generation here 50 years down the line, a nanosecond is one of them original seconds over there. But a regular second is the 7th year, because we are living in a different world where the years are quite literally longer. Despite any of our advancement in technology, physical development, if we're living longer, it doesn't matter, because every year is defined by how long it takes the stuff to move around us. And if we advance our lives and our physical ability to live, our lifeline, and we are still living 50 years, seeing how the length of 50 years is growing, we're going to have to slowly shift our metrics of time over in the gearbox, which is why they, in the realm of Millenia, calculate time through their time tracker. The time tracker is quite simply the gearbox as a clock, and they're looking at it, and everyone's watch, their clock, their time tracker is synced up to have the rotating gears be the exact same number of time, because that is how they calculate it in the realm, the planet of Millenia. Millenia has to do it that way because they are quite literally the center of the universe. And if they find themselves jumping through different dimensions and different worlds, the way they calculate their own personal time is the universe central time tracker, where, okay, I gotta figure out how they calculate time here for the local customs in this dimension here, and at all times I have to keep an eye on my time tracker gearbox to see what's going on in the center of the universe, because that is where and what is important to me, for real, the center of the universe, because that is how the Millennians track their time, right? So, yep, that is the main thing. So, to the natives of the world of Millenia, they keep track of time through their little gearboxes, their time trackers, because for them, quite literally, time is something that can be fully utilized and accessed. They are the center of the universe, so they have to calculate and track time differently than what we in the real world of Earth might calculate it by. So for them, unlike us, we would say time is linear and forward going. For them, this is a fantasy world, so there is a bit of magic at play in that realm that allows them to say, what are you talking about? Time isn't linear. That doesn't make sense. We're tracking it with gearboxes. As long as we can manage to shift the gears over a little bit, because some people have space affinity, time affinity, all that matters is that we get this motion right. It's not linear as your backward society and non-center of the universe butts would try to educate your people. It's ridiculous. Time isn't linear. You're just less smart than the rest of us who live in the center of the universe, dummy. Right? So, in their universe, in their realm, it is surprisingly a large number of people with that kind of affinity who can relatively manipulate time. Right? And even more creatures and existences that allow themselves to move through time to a point in time or to a place in time, hashtag wormholes and the like. They have free reign to access those abilities as such. So to them, time is relative and shouldn't be seen as linear like that. It's just stupid for you to do that because they can quite literally jump however they will because hashtag center of the universe vibes. Right? They themselves, their existence, their living capacity is of a higher value than what time, a linear version of time, would constrain everyone to. So that's a bit of ignorance at play. Like, if I don't know about it, it's not really affecting me. So they don't treat time as linear, and that level of ignorance allows them, with all their magic capabilities, their magical affinities through time and space and yada yada, and their relative biological idiosyncrasies and uniquenesses, allow them to do these special things because of the way they view time. So if they viewed time differently, could they get different outcomes? Like, if we viewed time differently here, and relative to where we are, could we get different outcomes from thinking about time? Right? But that's what they did, and I carefully, as best as I could, chose it to be like that. Right? So, in the realm of millennia time, as we measure it annually, in accordance to our solar relativity alignments, is much different. It's actually expanding in the millennian world and realm, which is why the gearbox idea is necessary for the measurement of time. So, as the millennian world is indeed the center of the universe, actually, not the way we assumed we were at the center of the universe and were proven wrong. Millennia is the center of the universe, and the planet is indeed expanding constantly, so they need a form of thing to measure their time differently and still be on track. Thus, their method of expanding time on an expanding scale that slides reciprocally in that manner allows them to be more accurate, per se, with their measurement of time for their needs. And the millennian world, the biological life is growing to that capacity where the average lifespan is 50 years. So the way they would relatively define their aspect of life lived and time being passed for and through them is different, right? So from the beginning of time to the relative end of all time, their life expectancy of humans in the realm of millennia is 50 years, be they at the start of time or at the center midlife crisis point of time or at the end of all time, end all be all of time itself is 50 years long, right? So they have to slide the scale because people in the beginning experienced life faster than, say, people living here at the tail end of time lived life slower, longer, per se, frame by frame, because hashtag the gears of time move further and further. Thus, hence, the more time they have to experience time itself. So as the gears keep turning and shifting and moving down along the gearbox, since everyone is still living 50 years long, the length of time they're experiencing, they have more time in that time frame to experience time and their life. So technically everyone's living longer, but from the way they measure it, everyone's still only living an average of 50 years. So, which is, again, relative to where they are in time in their universe, but not trying to overbog it. That is the general gist of today's Tourism Tuesday on how the realm of Millenia measures time here. And I'm starting to get confused trying to explain it to you, so I'm gonna cut myself off here. That is time. That is the totally tubular tourism aspect of the realm of Millenia today. And that's just me, your Millenia Mailman. Today, your host. If you liked what I had to say, press the like button. If you have a question, comment, concern, go ahead, put it down in the drop section, comment section down below, and I'll address it on a Q&A Monday. And if for some reason you want to share that aspect of like time to someone, maybe a scholar, maybe a student somewhere, go ahead, press that share button, send it to them so we can continue that discussion and talk about it and get it talked about more. And if you are in support of me finishing and publishing my book, press the subscribe button. And if for some odd reason you just want to see more of my videos that I'll be posting every single day until I've actually published my book, go ahead and press that bell button so you never miss a single video, and it notifies you every time I post every day until the book is published. But that's just me. Hope you enjoy. Have a good one.